Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 1123 of the Juicebox Podcast. Kat grew up in an alcoholic household. She began doing cocaine at the age of 12, and that led to using meth. Her 15-year-old daughter has type 1 diabetes and a few other issues, and it looks here like, Arden called in a couple of times. Back at the beginning of using the Dexcom G7, Arden had a concern that she didn't know how to fix while she was away at school. It looks like we took care of it on the podcast. Nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan. When you place your first order for AG1 with my link, you'll get 5 free travel packs and a free year's supply of vitamin D. drinkag1.com/juicebox. If you're looking for community around type 1 diabetes, check out the Juicebox Podcast private Facebook group, Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes. But everybody is welcome. Type 1, Type 2, gestational, loved ones, it doesn't matter to me. If you're impacted by diabetes and you're looking for support, comfort, or community, check out Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes on Facebook. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Cozy Earth. CozyEarth.com. Use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% off of the clothing, towels, sheets, off of everything they have at CozyEarth.com. US Med is sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast, and we've been getting our diabetes supplies from US Med for years. You can as well. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Use the link or the number, get your free benefits check, and get started today with US Med.
My name is Kat. I am a single mother of a type 1 diabetic who is 15.
15. Oh, Kat, my whole whiteboard is dirty. And my wipey thing is... All right, hold on. I have to use this little tiny eraser. This is embarrassing. No one can see it, and it's embarrassing. I'm now erasing this giant whiteboard with like a 1/2-inch eraser that I have here. Hold on.
You'll be all right.
I've been editing like a lunatic for 3 weeks so that my wife and I can go visit our kids.
Oh, sweet.
So I basically made the backroom stuff for the podcast. I basically did 3.5 weeks of it in a week and a half. So I'm a little...
Have you slept?
No, not really.
No, didn't think so.
I'm getting to it though. I'll sleep while I'm driving to where the kids are. How's that sound?
As long as you're not driving.
Oh, I'll be driving. Okay. So
well, then you can't do that.
All right. I think you're right. All right, Kat. 15-year-old type 1 diagnosed how long ago?
In 2018.
Okay. So
you want to do the math or you want me to?
It seems like 5 years ago.
It's 5 years.
Right. Okay. So any diabetes in the family?
Yes. After she was diagnosed, we figured out that my grandfather's brother, who died when he was young from diabetes, was obviously type 1, but it wasn't really talked about. And then a month after she was diagnosed, my first cousin, there you go. He was diagnosed, but he was like 34.
Okay.
And then 3 months prior to my daughter being diagnosed, I found out that the son I gave birth to, who I gave up for adoption, was diabetic.
Oh, that's a twist. Kat, way to throw a twist in the first couple of minutes. This is how you come correct. Everybody who's listening, don't slow walk me on this stuff. Get it right out there. Wow. At birth, given up for adoption?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Oh, Kat, that's something. I'm sorry. Were they twins?
No. God, no. That would be horrible.
Wait. Oh, to split. I see. There's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So how old is the adopted child? Older than your 15-year-old?
Yes. So he just turned 18.
Okay. Got it. How do you know when he got diabetes? And how did you find out?
So we had an open adoption. So I'm in contact with his mother, and she let me know. She let me know 3 months before my daughter was diagnosed, but he was diagnosed maybe a year before she was.
Okay. So about 9 months into his diagnosis, she thought to reach out and tell you.
Yes.
Okay. And then just a few months later, your daughter's diagnosed.
Yes. And I think that was really the way that, not the way we found out, but my mom kind of clued into it. Mm-hmm. When my daughter was having all these issues, she was like, do you think it could be this? And I was like, no, like she's not overweight and all of these things. And then I looked up type 1 diabetes, and she was just having all of the classic symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Kat, question that's for my interest and probably not for much else. Different fathers? Same fathers?
Different fathers. I don't know the father of my birth son.
Oh, okay. I don't think I want to ask about that. I don't, right?
Oh, it don't matter.
Really? Okay. All right, Kat, why don't you know the father of your birth son?
Well, no, I was a troubled teen. That's what it comes down to. I put myself in a predicament at the beach on a family vacation. My grandfather just passed. I didn't care what was going on. I was using drugs and alcohol and just wanted to find a place to have fun. And somebody offered to take me to like a beach party, and we went. I was offered a drink, and I don't remember anything after that.
Oh, I'm sorry. How old were you?
I was 14, 15.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Does the boy know that?
No, I don't know the boy.
Yeah. Would the adopted parents know the story or no?
I told them.
Okay. All right. Well, you just sobered the whole thing right up, Kat. Okay. That's okay. I'm so sorry to hear that. But
no, it's fine.
But for diabetes purposes, it looks like the type 1 comes through your family line was kind of what I was initially trying to get at before we found this. But you have your daughter when you're 17. Is that right?
No. I had her when I was 19.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. 19. Would you have considered yourself still a troubled teen at 19 or no?
By 19, I was in a relationship with somebody who I thought I was going to marry. I had already been to rehab for mental health and addiction, and I think I was in a more stable place. So I would say yes.
Gotcha. That took me in a big circle. I was like, oh my gosh. But I understand though. You had made a ton of improvements, but probably weren't as improved as you saw yourself. Is that fair?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, geez, you're only 34.
I am.
Wow, that's a big life. Jeez.
It's been fun.
Kat, can I tell you something?
Sure.
I just started a diabetes podcast. I didn't know it was all going to go like this. And last week, people will have heard the episode that I'm going to reference right now by the time yours comes out. Last week, I interviewed a 73-year-old woman who had diabetes type 1 since she was 40. She was misdiagnosed. She had all kinds of trouble. It took a long time for them to figure out she had diabetes, so her blood sugars were kind of like high all the time. She thought she had mental health issues because of how, oddly her brain was working, but turns out her blood sugar was just high. She divorced her husband because of this, never had children because of it, embarked on a 3-year lesbian relationship, came back out of that. And she's telling me this whole big story. And we're maybe 45 minutes into it. And all I could think about was, wow, if you live long enough, look at the perspective you gain. Because this woman was so happy and just healthy and you know what I mean? Really interesting. And then I don't know what happened. We must have gotten to the point where she was so comfortable while we were talking. She discloses that she was molested at 10 years old by a family member.
Wow.
And if my takeaway, I'm telling you right now, my takeaway after speaking with her for that long was people can get through anything. Really impressive. Like just like where she is now compared to all of the things that she had gone through, you would think that would create just a broken person, but it didn't. It really
can.
It can. Sure it can. Yeah. But like I'm just fascinated that anybody could have gotten through something like that. And her story was just, it's incredible. Like it's going to be shocking while you're listening to it. Like it's going to come out of nowhere. And it really, and it shocked me. I didn't know what to say because she was also, I don't know if everybody knows older people, but you lose your filter a little bit. Like she didn't, like she was very just direct about what happened to her. And I was so stunned I couldn't talk. So it was really something. But I'm asking you now because in my mind, you've had a few of her experiences, and I'm wondering, thereabout at 34, how far to free and easy 73-year-old Kat are you? The podcast is sponsored today by the place where I get my sheets, my towels, some of my clothing, a lot of the things that I stay warm or comfortable with. CozyEarth.com. I'm wearing a pair of Cozy Earth joggers right now. I've recently gotten another pair in a different color. I sleep on Cozy Earth sheets. They are so comfortable and soft and temperate. Temperate meaning I'm never hot or cold, which is really saying something because my wife loves to turn that giant fan on, but they keep me nice and warm without making me like sweaty or moist. You know what I mean? You don't want to be moist while you're sleeping. And then, of course, the waffle towels I use every day to dry off my bits and parts after I've showered. CozyEarth.com. Use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% off of your entire order. I'm not saying 40% off of one item. I'm saying 40% off of everything you put in the cart. CozyEarth.com. Use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. Diabetes comes with a lot of things to remember, so it's nice when someone takes something off of your plate. US Med has done that for us. When it's time for Ardent supplies to be refreshed, we get an email. Rolls up and in your inbox says, "Hi Ardent, this is your friendly reorder email from US Med." You open up the email, it's a big button that says, "Click here to reorder," and you're done. Finally, somebody taking away a responsibility instead of adding one. US Med has done that for us. An email arrives, we click on a link, and the next thing you know, your products are at the front door. That simple. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. I never have to wonder if Arden has enough supplies. I click on one link, I open up a box, I put the stuff in the drawer, and we're done. US Med carries everything from insulin pumps and diabetes testing supplies to the latest CGMs like the Libre 3 and the Dexcom G7. They accept Medicare nationwide, over 800 private insurers, and all you have to do to get started is call 888-721-1514 or go to my link, usmed.com/juicebox. Using that number or my link helps to support the production of the Juicebox podcast.
I think I'm pretty much there.
Wow, that's so cool.
I mean, just life throws curveballs at you and you either deal with them or you don't.
What helped you get through all that?
My daughter, probably. The fact that I'm a single parent, I don't have another choice.
Mm-hmm. But other people just are bad parents in that situation. They don't take the choice you took. You don't know why you
I wasn't always like this, though.
Okay.
Definitely not.
All right.
So I mean, I've relapsed after being sober for 10 years. I've definitely made mistakes along the way. But I don't know, you just get older and something just clicks in you.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, enough is enough.
Were you ever a 22-year-old girl in a Black Sabbath t-shirt in an arcade holding a baby?
No.
No.
Black Sabbath's not my thing, but no.
I'm sorry. Was it it was an In Excess shirt?
No, it'd be more like Tupac or something.
I gotcha. Oh, that's interesting. Boy, how about that? Well, good. I mean, listen, I'm going to congratulate you, but does it feel like luck? Does it feel like hard work, or does it feel like a blend?
I think a blend. I don't think I'm fully done growing in that aspect, but I'm trying. I'm getting there, and I need to quit saying I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I don't care what the hell you say. Keep talking. You're doing great. Yeah, I have 3 words written down in front of me. But, if, or excuse me, so and but, so, those are the words.
Is that what I say?
No, those are the words I try not to say.
Oh.
Yeah, I try very hard.
I say a lot.
I use when I'm thinking sometimes, but I don't know. I think it's the pressure to talk because I'm being recorded, because in real life, I don't say it.
Yeah.
So.
I could see that.
Yeah. So is a connecting word. And I just need to, like, I know other connecting words, but I get lazy and I say so a lot. Anyway, see there, I could have said so, but I said anyway.
Good job.
Yes. Thank you very much. I'll be good at this by the time I'm done doing it, maybe, if I'm lucky. Well, it's just fascinating. Like, did you have good family support? Like, am I picturing you in your Tupac shirt and your mom at home like June Cleaver, or is your mom at home having her own troubles?
I had amazing family support. Complicated. My dad is an alcoholic, functioning. My mother's currently going through rehab for alcoholism and mental health. So it's shifted a little bit, but my extended family, my aunts and everybody, my brother, just constant support.
Very nice. That's excellent. I'm going to tell you, I think that alcohol is probably the most dangerous substance I've seen people use. I mean,
it's awful.
Yeah. I mean, I guess heroin maybe, or like
yeah.
in that kind of like
legal, the worst legal drug.
Even like when you get up into the opioids, then obviously there's another danger there. But I mean,
True.
Things that people do to alleviate their pressure and stress, weed, drinking really, man, it just gets some people in a way, and the impacts it has on their children is always there. You don't grow up with alcoholic parents and not have a big bag of shit tied around your neck that you're dragging. That's for sure. Well, okay. Why the hell are you on this podcast, Kat? Just to freak me out on a Monday morning, or you got more than that? What did you decide that you wanted to come on for?
I don't know. It was one of those things where you signed up because you thought it was a good idea, and then you were like, what did I do? Yeah. It was one of those moments.
My wife has that look on her face a lot.
No, I just thought it was just interesting how the culmination of finding out how my child had diabetes had to do with my mom connecting it to us just being told about my birth son having been diagnosed. So I just thought that was interesting.
It is. But so you think that basically hearing the story about him then planted the seeds in your head so that when your daughter started to get sick, you saw something you maybe never would have seen otherwise.
Oh, no, I didn't see anything.
Your mom.
My mom. Yes.
Yeah.
No, my daughter was hours from being dead.
Oh my gosh.
She looked like, and I don't want to offend anybody, but she looked like, the emaciated bone, just skin and bone that you see in third world countries. Like it was shocking. And I just kept telling my family, like, I know something's wrong. Like where are her muscles? She's so athletic and she had no muscle. And it was always, the usual, she's growing, her weight hasn't, come back from her growing inches and blah, blah, blah.
How quickly do you think that transformation happened?
I think about 2 months, because I remember the last picture I saw of her was in July at my aunt's birthday party, where she looked quote unquote normal. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it was just downhill.
Happens really quickly. It's shocking.
Yeah. It did.
And it's just slow enough that people around you can say things like, oh, it's probably a growth spurt. But you could tell no. But you're also what? Like, what stops you from I don't know, moving this to an emergent problem, like calling a doctor or something like that?
it's because she was not, I'm a nurse and I know what I pulled over my parents' eyes, and I'm not going to be, that same parent. So like, I would never let her stay home from school because she was eating. She didn't have fever. None of the signs were there where something's wrong. So I just didn't clue in on it. There was an excuse for everything.
Is she
you can excuse everything away.
Is she a good kid?
Amazing.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? You're like, you can't stay home from school. I know you're going to make a bomb.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what, Mom? You're not inviting 20 boys over here. I'm 12. So you're defending against the things you remember in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's always interesting. But she's not like that, right?
Not at all. I don't know how she's my child.
Or she's way better at hiding it than you are. I'm just kidding. I don't want to freak you out. Well, that's really...
Hopefully not.
Yeah, so you were like, press on, get going. We're not giving up.
Yeah.
And yet she was on her way out. What was her... Do you know her blood sugar when you took her in? And how did you end up at the hospital?
So it started with my daughter throwing up at school, but she had PE first period. So I was like, well, she didn't eat anything. Of course she's going to throw up. And then she had soccer practice after school and she threw up there. And I was like, well, she just ate. Of course she's going to throw up. And then she just didn't feel well at all. And my daughter cannot take medication at all. Like, her gag reflex is awful. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, if you take medication, I won't let you go to school tomorrow. I won't make you go to school tomorrow. So she took it and she slept that whole entire day. Not one time did she wake up. But the next day I told her, like, you don't have fever. You're going to go to school. And that's when my mom stepped in and said, hey, like, she really doesn't feel well. Why don't you, let her stay home? Let's take her to the doctor. But because of my job, I'm a home health nurse. I have patients that I've already scheduled. And so I couldn't take her. So my two aunts, who are amazing, they took her to the doctor's office. And as soon as they saw her, they rushed her to the hospital. I was actually draining a lung when I got the call that she was diabetic.
Wow, you just named the episode Aqua Lung. Good job, Kat. It's great. It's fantastic. Do you think people know Jethro Tull? Probably not, right? Doesn't matter.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
I was going to say, you don't know either. I'm still writing it down. Wow, that's crazy. And, what it really highlights to me is how the idea of death is the last thing your brain will consider. Because, come on, she threw up in the morning. She threw up in the afternoon. She slept an entire day away. And you were like, go to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just because your brain doesn't go there. It's the same thing when like people smoke or they're like, I won't get lung cancer. Like it's that thing. Like even when presented with it, people will say, no, it's not going to be me. And so it's a perseverance gene. I think it's why we persist as humans, but it also in these specific circumstances makes people press on when pressing on is not the right answer anymore. But yeah, your mom, huh? Good for her.
Yes.
Yeah, and she didn't have any trouble. She didn't have any trouble telling you. Sometimes in a mother-daughter relationship, she might have thought that and kept it to herself.
I'm sure she was very scared to tell me.
But
I'm thankful she did.
You mean after all the stuff that happened while she was raising you, she was probably like, I don't need this kid flipping out on me.
Absolutely. 100%.
Can you tell me for certain that you have stood in your kitchen screaming at your mom in your lifetime?
Oh, can't tell you how many times.
Oh, you wish you could go back?
100%.
Yeah,
it's still happening at the current moment, but only because of the things that my mom's going through right now.
Oh, is she having health issues?
Mental health issues and addiction. She's literally in rehab right now.
Oh, I see. Oh, wow. Wow. Hey, what do they say? Now the master becomes the apprentice, or the apprentice becomes what is that exactly? The student becomes the teacher. So the thing she was watching you do, you're now watching her do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. But she didn't have these issues earlier in life?
I think the alcoholism, yes, but my dad was an alcoholic, so everything was focused on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think hers just kind of went to the wayside. And then she had like a mental breakdown in Christmas of last year, and it just increased everything.
Wow.
The alcoholism increased, which then affected her mental health, which then my brother and I stepped in and got her some help.
Gotcha. Were they just propping each other up while they were together with the alcoholic stuff? Like they were just looking out for each other, keeping it, like, were they functioning?
Very functioning.
Yeah.
That's the worst, is a functioning alcoholic, because they don't see wrong in anything they're doing, because they're still able to hold a job. They're still able to, make money and do the everyday things that everyone else does.
Yeah. That's the same thing I just said, except focused a different way. Like they think like, it's okay, we got to go. And I'm getting up in the morning. I do the things I'm supposed to do. It's not me. They don't see the end. They don't see the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go back 15 years and tell your mom, like, hey, you're going to have a breakdown and like, have mental health issues and blah, blah, blah. She goes, no, I'm not. I got this all together. It's interesting, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a lot. And you're able to hold on to your sobriety while this is all going on?
I am.
That's excellent. Why do you think? What keeps you where you're at?
My child.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other option. It's not that it's not there. I do work every day to curb the cravings and thoughts and wants and all of that. And it does get easier over time. But it's just, I've seen it. I've seen it just destroy my family in a different form. Obviously, I was into drugs, and my alcohol is usually the substance that is affecting many of my other family members. But it does the same thing. Mm-hmm. It just tears everybody apart.
When you were younger, what kinds of drugs?
I started with cocaine, and then in rehab, I switched to meth.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
You jumped right in, Kat. Yeah.
I know.
You skipped right over all of the stuff that, like, you were just like, weed's not enough. I'm going to go right to coke. Yeah. Wow. And then
I think because my dad smoked weed, that I was just like, I'm not doing that. Oh. I'm going to be better than him and not smoke weed.
Yeah, I'll do an upscale drug like cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. Way to pull together. I heard you laugh under your voice when you said, in rehab, I started using meth.
Because it's crazy. Yeah, I think about it now, and I'm like, that it just is. It's sad, honestly, because it's a place where you're supposed to go to get better. And it's the place where I found more connections. I found people who were like me, who were going through similar things, who had their own dealers and their own connections. Yeah. And then we were just a bunch of people. If you weren't in the mindset of actually getting better, we were just a bunch of people with all these connections now.
Yeah. No, it's like the Lions Club for meth. You're like, these guys all get together in a room, drink coffee, and like trade phone numbers. Wow, that's fascinating. And then there are people that are really like on the right path, and they just don't, you don't bother with them. But the other people are basically
you can tell.
Business. Yeah. And it's all money focused, I would imagine, too, right? Like you're trying to sell or, sell so that you have more. Like, oh wow, it's all the same thing. It's the same thing as the functioning alcoholic thing, except you're trying to be a functioning meth user. How long does that work for, by the way? And do you have all your teeth?
I do have all my teeth.
Good for you, okay?
I don't know how long that lasted.
That's crazy. What's the difference between, I can't believe I'm asking this. What's the difference between the highs from cocaine to meth?
So one, my memory sucks because of it. Mm-hmm. I think I have a little bit of brain damage going on because of it. But I think that the transition from cocaine to meth was necessary because I was using so much cocaine that it was falling out of my nose because my nose was so inflamed that nothing else could go in. And so the need to do more and do more was there, and meth, surpassed that.
It's almost about delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Gosh. I'm assuming there was a rock bottom moment. How did you get out of it? I guess, like, what precipitates getting out of it?
I don't recall the exact moment, but nothing happened. I went into rehab after having a breakdown from not having any more cocaine, I contacted my mom and she said I was freaking out. And she called my therapist and my therapist put me in. But it was what, 2 or 3 months after I gave my son up for adoption. So they thought it was due to depression. They didn't know about my drug use until I entered rehab and the therapist kind of brought it out of me. And then he snitched on me, which I thought he couldn't do because patient doctor confidentiality.
You saw that on Grey's Anatomy and you were like, I'll be okay. I can tell him. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it's not how it works.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that this was all happening when you were so young.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Funny, not funny. The place I went is currently where my mother is.
Did you have
so full circle?
Did you get like a punch card, like a referral service?
No, but I asked.
Can I get anything for free if all of us come?
Yeah, we'll keep you in business.
Possible to have a relationship during the life you're describing? Like, I know you said you're a single mom over and over again, but like, did you try?
Yeah, because I have bouts where I was not using. I mean, I was sober for 10 years until I decided Molly was a thing that I wanted to try. It wasn't out when I was using. So let's give it a go.
Where does that come from? Where does that, try to find that thought from me. You've been sober for 10 years, you're doing your thing, it's all going right. And then one day you're like, hey, you know what I should do? Molly. Where does that? I had
a bad influence. My best friend, she is an addict. And I think she just allowed me to give myself the okay to do it. She came back into my life. Like when I was sober, I cut her out of my life because it was too much. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, she comes around every once in a while. And if I let her in, my life turns to shit.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. I let her in and then she's, in that state and it just kind of sucks you back in. And it just took over again.
Does it look fun or inviting, or how do you, like when you see her high, what's the thought?
It looks like a mess. It's not a pretty sight, but I'm not her. So our two ways of how we are when we're using are completely different. So I am more of a functioning, I would think I thought of myself as more of a functioning user until I couldn't stop using.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the interpretation from a person who called her mom to complain there wasn't enough cocaine. So, Mom, I need help. Okay.
Yeah.
I just can't get enough Coke. So I called my mom. I guess while you're doing it, you don't know. But when you're hearing it as a person who's.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Yeah. You're like, oh, wow. It's like, have you ever heard that there's a great audio clip online back before the internet was so like full of video and stuff like that, where this guy just calls 911. And he's like, hello, I'm dead. And they're like,
yes.
What? And he's tried, like he ate like a pot brownie. He's like an older man. He ate a pot brownie for the first time. He calls the cops to tell them that he died and that it's because he ate weed and he needs help.
Yes, I have heard that. That's great.
In my mind, that's you calling your mom.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you're like, who's the last person I should tell that I'm using cocaine to? I'm going to go with my mom. And then I'm going to complain about availability. Wow, that's crazy. Did your nose hold up? Didn't collapse, did it?
I have holes in my septum, but yeah, it's good.
You know the comedian Artie Lang?
I do not.
Oh, his whole nose collapsed. It's the craziest.
You were about to say fantastic.
I know. I was, but I didn't mean fantastic in the way of like it's amazing, fantastic. Like it's fantastic in how like insane it is. Like it's like. By the way, you can use fantastic in different ways. I didn't mean it that way, but I did stop myself because I was like, I don't want to explain what I mean. But it's so crazy and just unlike anything I've ever seen in my life, and yet it doesn't matter, right? Because when your friend comes along with the Molly, you're like, I won't end up like that. Not me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not me is the phrase that gets everybody into trouble. I won't get pregnant. It's okay. Go
you
ahead.
think you think you can just try a little and you'll be okay. And some people can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very upsetting that some people can actually do that.
Gambling's no different than this either. It's all sort of the same stuff. Like, I'll just make a bet. I'll place one bet. And then the next thing you know, it's 3 weeks later and you're like, calling.
I like to gamble too.
Yeah. Well, I bet you do. Call it. But so this sounds like a family thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My brother had a gambling problem. Yeah. I think addiction is just like embedded in my family.
Is it wrong for me to ask what genre you are, your family? You know what I mean? You guys Irish? You Italian? What are you exactly?
We are Polish, English, and I think there's some Irish in there.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Okay. So so far, my favorite part of this conversation is that you thought you were going to be interesting on the podcast because of the way your mom figured out that your kid had diabetes. Hold on. Arden's calling me. This never happens. Give me a second.
Yes, sir.
Arden, I'm recording. Is this like a big thing? What do you need? You have a diabetic question? Okay. Can people hear it? Can I record it, or do you want to keep it private? Yeah, that means it's your Dexcom. Yeah, well, you're into your grace period, which means like 12 hours ago it would have told you or something like that. But it only takes 30 minutes to warm up, so just pop it on. All right. Good luck. Good. What do you got? Hold on. Sorry, Kat. I'll be right back. Arden, I'm in the middle of talking to Kat. She's living a life of addiction, and she's clean now, and now we're talking about your Dexcom. Don't be sorry. It's fine. You're fine. You just need to switch your Dexcom, the G7. You can, but yeah, you can. You're not going to have numbers for 30 minutes if you do that. You can also put the new one on, and then 30. All right, bye. All right, good luck. Bye. I have a diabetic question. I was like, what?
I thought she had been wearing the G7.
It's her second one. So she didn't.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. So she's had G7 on one time while I was there for a trip just to test it so that we'd know she could switch on her own to college while I wasn't there. Then she made the switch. So her first one, she switched out, 10 days. This one, apparently they're into like finals now and everything. Mm-hmm. Like she's running around like a lunatic trying to keep up with school. And it sounds like the new G7 has a grace period, which is kind of terrific because, otherwise this one would have shut down at the end of 10 days. So she just gets this notification, like your grace period's over in an hour, but she's got to be at class in an hour. She's like, what does that mean? So I was like, it means you got to change her. What she wouldn't let me tell her is that the grace period's over in an hour. So she's going to swap them real quickly and then not have data for a half hour. She could actually put a new G7 on, wait 30 minutes, then swap them, and she'd never be without data. But that seemed like that as she was rushing through the door and I heard doors banging and everything, and she's running back to her room to get a Dexcom. I think perhaps that might have been too much information. So I'll cover that when I see her in a couple of weeks. Anyway, I said, like, I'm talking to Kat, and Kat's like, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, well, I'm sorry, but hold on.
It's very important.
She doesn't call him, and it wasn't a FaceTime. That's how I knew, like, she actually needed something. Because she's trying to connect quickly. Whereas when they just want to chat, like, they pop up on FaceTime and stuff like that. So anyway.
No worries.
My amusement is that you thought the interesting part of this conversation was about your mom. But did you really think that? Do you listen to the podcast?
Of course I do.
You knew we were going to talk about this then.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about it, do you think?
I don't care.
Yeah, but I mean, like, subconsciously, did you think I'll go on that podcast and we'll talk about this stuff? I'm trying to figure out if people come here for therapy.
Yes. I did just sign up with BetterHelp, so I am definitely in need of therapy.
Kat, did you use my link, betterhelp.com/juicebox?
I sure did.
Did they give you 10% off your first month of therapy when you signed up?
They sure did.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you.
It is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, let me know. I'd love to know how it goes, actually.
I will.
Yeah, it's one of those things. A lot of companies come to me and they want to buy ads, which is cool. Like, I'm happy about that. But I try to keep the stuff very focused on what I think the listeners might generally need or want. And this one I just kept thinking therapy, as many people as I speak to who I kind of quietly in my head think wait, this person needs to go to therapy. And I never really say it out loud. I always think like access to it must be the biggest problem for people. Like that actually like getting up off your ass and going to someone's office and sitting down probably feels like a bridge too far. And I thought, I wonder if this like virtual therapy thing isn't good for people. So anyway, hopefully it all works out and it's a good experience.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you just want to talk to somebody.
I need to talk to somebody.
Because if not, go ahead. What happens?
I'm going to hurt my mother.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say. Okay. Wow.
I'm trying to finally like be an adult, and I've tried to set boundaries with her and it's just not getting through. And I think everybody needs therapy. Everybody should have like a required therapy session once a month or something.
Kat,
it's very necessary.
I'm using Wegovy to lose weight. Right. And by the way, I got up this morning and I'm down I think I'm like 19 or 20 pounds now. It's crazy in 2 months. Right. And
Good
not
job.
just that. Thank you. I feel so much better and like all this other stuff. Right. But I recorded with Erica the other day, who's a therapist, because I was experiencing this hollow feeling around food, which threw me off because I'm not like a foodie to begin with. But I guess I don't spend as much time prepping food, shopping, cooking, eating, cleaning up, like that whole, like everybody knows, like all the ton of work that goes into food. Right. And I'm not doing that any longer to that degree. And I started feeling like I was missing something. Like I honestly had like a hollow feeling. And I asked Erica to come on to talk about it. And we're talking about it. And like 45 minutes into the conversation, we're somehow talking about like when I was a kid and like all this stuff. And I was like, and she's reminding people like, I'm not Scott's therapist. And I'm like, but all I can say is that probably every thought you're having, maybe one and two of them stems from something you don't consider. So, yeah. Anyway, I feel really good. And but it was nice to talk to her. And now, by the way, like that hollow feeling that I described, since I spoke to her, I haven't had it anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Really is. So makes you wonder what would have happened if your parents would have talked to somebody, 50 years ago, the first time they were like, I have to drink to get through a day. Yeah.
But that was normal back then.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. That was like, there were cigarettes and for your nerves, right? Like I would, I grew up with people who said they smoke cigarettes to calm their stomach.
Really?
No, that's a very common thing you would hear from people. I just smoke a cigarette, it calms my stomach down. So, I don't think it's crazy. And people's understanding of everything just changes so greatly, like generation after generation. Like I was talking to Jenny in like a diabetes like myth episode. And I said, if you would have told my mom that the sugar water in our refrigerator when I was growing up that we drank by the gallon day after day after day, right? If you would have told my mom that wasn't good for you, she would have looked at you and like pointed to the label and said, there's lemons in it. Lemons grow on trees. You know what I mean? Like there's a picture of a lemon on it. A lemon is a fruit. I'm giving you something healthy.
Yeah.
So yeah, people don't get it. But now you're caught in the middle. Like you get it because now there's more information in the world and you understand, but you also grew up with them. So I'm assuming your life's goal, like if I asked you what your life's goal is around parenting, I think you're going to say what I'm thinking, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Gosh. Now I feel pressured.
It's not a lot of pressure. Like, here's what I think. I think you're trying very hard for your daughter not to grow up the way you grew up.
Yes, 100%.
Right? Is it working?
I think so. I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding of her just being such an amazing person that nobody in my family understands how she's my child because everybody in my family knows me. So it just doesn't, those two just don't add up.
Well, that's your level of of measurement. You're like, people think that's not my kid, so that's a good thing. Yep. Well, hey, whatever works. But don't you think, here, I'll be your therapist for a second, Kat.
Okay.
Couldn't you have been that person with the right upbringing?
I don't know.
You could have been. You definitely.
Yeah, but then it would have been something else.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, do you think that the addiction thing is burned into your brain, or do you think it's something you learned?
Both. I grew up in a very small town. There was nothing to do besides get in trouble.
Yeah, that one baffles me a little bit. Like the small town, a lot of drugs thing, like Midwestern, like that kind of like thing. Like, right? Like, why is it when you're in a small town, it's like, well, there's nothing to do, so we did meth, which is a hell of a leap. Could have gone to a movie, Kat. And and like, oh, I grew up in a big city and we're always partying, so we did this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is the boredom that crazy?
Yeah, it is.
It just goes on and on, day after day, hour after hour, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, there was the only thing there was to do in my town was go to Sonic. And
Kat, hold that thought. Hi, Ards. What's up? Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm. It says the sensor failed. Okay, well, then just follow the instructions and start a new one. I mean, I don't know. I'm not there. I don't know what happened. Right, yep. Replace the sensor. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So we're very new with this one, so I don't know if there's a workaround for that. So I would just start another one. Yeah. That sucks. I know you're short on time. Okay, go ahead and do that. Good luck. Bye. When it rains, Kat, it pours.
Of course, when she has finals.
She's like, I'm all done. It says like, I did the whole thing. I paired the Bluetooth, blah, blah, blah. It's all ready to go. And then like 7 minutes into the warm up, it said sensor failure. And I don't know if that's a thing that would have like gone away. Like, because sometimes with these things, like it
if you give it a second.
Yeah, it'll just be okay. I don't know what. Hell, let it go. Like, just swap it. I have extras here. I'll bring an extra. We're seeing her in a week, so I can bring an extra one with me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sonic.
It's okay. Sonic, yes.
Yeah. So
that was about the biggest thing there was to do. Yeah, we had a outdoor volleyball court, so it was like better than most people's Sonics. But when the whole city's there or the town, it just that's all you have to do.
Do you think that if there was more to do, there'd be less drug use?
Possibly. But you're just stuck in, like, this small town is great to grow up in, but you got to get out or you'll never get out. Like, you get stuck. And it's just generation after generation just get stuck there, doing the same jobs, the same family jobs, running the same, family operations. And it's just so stagnant. Boring. But they're just so afraid to leave.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, your brain just shuts off. I got it. Okay. And then you drink or you try Coke. Coke's like racing, right? Like Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. And when's the first time you used? How old?
Maybe 12.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Where do you get it from at 12?
Anywhere. Yeah. It started with my friend, that best friend of mine that's not a good
influence
person to have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It started with her, just having connections with her. And then you kind of, you always have access to it.
So then that old like parenting chestnut of like keeping the bad kids away from your kids is really a good thing to do.
It's really a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many friends do you allow your daughter to have? One?
No, it's just, she's just different. Even though she has like some friends where I'm kind of like, yeah, she reminds me exactly of my old best friend. Mm-hmm. My daughter is not influenced by any of that. She could care less.
Wow.
She's like not into boys. She's just about school and sports. So it's amazing.
It's not exactly birds of a feather flock together then. Like it's more, it's a little bit of, once you're there, how do you handle it?
Yeah.
And some people handle it
she'll call me if she's uncomfortable, and want to come home. Just, again, I don't know how she's my child.
Hey, I don't know if this is an uncomfortable question, but her father, is he an addictive personality?
No.
Okay. I
don't think he ever did drugs.
Well, there you go.
Or anything.
Not just drugs. It's super, or anything.
Porn. Actually, I think he was addicted to porn. So maybe he does.
I was going to say, like, you were the bad influence in his life.
I actually met him after our rehab group had a party at his apartment. That's how I met him.
Your rehab group had a party at his apartment. But that
With
sounds
drugs.
like a recipe for disaster. Whenever the rehab group gets together, I think you go, no thanks, I can't come. One of you all.
Yeah, don't fall for that.
Yeah, one of you all is just looking for customers. I gotcha. Well, yeah, it's like a built-in sales force.
Yeah, it really is.
That's something. But if you gave everybody money, like if you thought about utopia for a minute where money wasn't important, the boredom would still be there. So
yeah,
what you're
I had money.
Yeah, I was going to say
matter.
At 12, that was the thing. I was like, how did you afford at 12 years old? I had to steal bubble gum. I was like, I don't have 5 cents. So,
I just never ate lunch, but I always needed lunch money.
I see. And you used your lunch money for cocaine when you were 12.
I did.
That's something else. You shouldn't be on this podcast. You should be on like 2020.
No, thank you.
Or I should be getting more respect as an interviewer. One or the other.
You should. Yes, you should.
Okay. Wow. That's crazy. Okay. So, hold on. That one got me. I literally, I do remember being like pinched for like shoplifting bubble gum once. And my parents, they punished me. I sat in a room for a week in a bedroom with no television, no radio, no nothing during my summer vacation. That's how my parents handled me shoplifting like 20 cents worth of bubble gum.
Yeah, you're not supposed to get caught.
You know what? Looking back, I am disappointed in myself. How was I not? I'll tell you what, I worked in that 7-Eleven as a teenager. I never caught anybody stealing anything.
Yeah, you really suck at that.
Turns out I'm no good on either end of that problem. Oh, that's hilarious. But I'll tell you what, like at the end of those 7 days, they let me out of that bedroom. It felt like they opened the doors at Rikers Island for the first time. I was like, I won't steal anything. Thank you for letting me out.
Maybe that's what my parents should have done to me.
Yeah, that's the 70s right there. They were like, you're a problem. Get in there. I was like, okay.
Hopefully they fed you.
I'm glad there was a room now that I'm thinking about it. I could have been in a closet. Who would have known? They did feed me. Although, I don't know. I'm thinking back on myself. I probably could have skipped a meal or two back then. It might not have been a problem. The way they were feeding me, sugar, water, and bread with cheese on it. Here, have more bread with cheese on it. Yeah, have some bread with cheese and a glass of sugar. Thank you. Let's find a way to blame them, Kat. Maybe my brain wasn't working right because of my nutrition. Oh, my God. So you had some money. That's craziness. Wow. Did you move? You didn't get away. You're near your mom.
I did move. I moved out of the small town when I was a sophomore to be more competitive in sports because we didn't have a lot of scouts coming down to the small town. And that just allowed me to have more. So I moved to a very, I would say, rich white school. Mm-hmm. And the first day I was there, I was going in to take my entrance exams, and some kid walked up to me and offered me drugs. And I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, y'all do that here? I was just in disbelief. And then I'm like, well, of course they do. They have more access to it. They have money. They can get these things. But it was just so shocking that I left this small town and came to a place that had it even worse.
Wow. What sport were you trying to excel in?
Everything. Volleyball, soccer, track.
We had all that Coke energy, I guess. So.
Yeah. You know what? It never really affected me. I don't know how I really don't know how I got through it. I shouldn't be alive right now.
No, I know.
But
I know
I am
joking about it because it's kind of horrible, but it's interesting and fascinating. Yeah. So you got there, and did you think this will help me? By the way, you facilitated a move as a sophomore?
Yeah. So we had volleyball tryouts and I didn't make a team, and my dad, which is crazy because I was the best person on the team, and the coach didn't like me because I had an ego. Mm-hmm. But After they didn't put me on a team, literally that same day, my dad went up there, yelled at him, made him cry, and we moved.
That's some of that crazy drunk energy your dad had.
Something like that.
He's like, we're getting out of here. Like, that's it? Over this? Maybe your dad really thought, like, maybe he was trying to do... I mean, it's hard to look back and see people doing things so obviously wrong and believe that they still had good motivations too. But maybe your dad was like, I can get her out of here. Like, maybe he was trying to save you, you know?
Maybe.
Yeah. It's hard for you to think of it that way because you probably think he's an asshole. But, like... You know what
functioning
I mean?
Asshole.
A functioning asshole. Oh, look at you trying to rename the episode again. Good try, but I can't put asshole in the title, so. Isn't it something, if you don't have a functioning asshole, you're in a lot of trouble?
You really are.
Yeah, no kidding. But then in that situation, not what you're looking for. Boom. Okay, so you go to another high school. Okay, all right. That's enough. I can't take any more of your life. Let me ask you about diabetes stuff. Literally, you're fried. I'm going to be doing cocaine before this is over. So,
I don't recommend it.
No, don't worry. I'm good. I'm not going to be doing that. Diabetes stuff. So you're raising a kid for, the last handful of years who has type 1. You didn't have much knowledge of it. You're, you're prone to, kind of turning to drugs if you have problems and things like that. So can you talk a little bit about after her diagnosis, like what was her A1C like? How high was her blood sugar when you guys figured it out? And then how have you been managing moving forward?
So in the hospital, she was like 600, 700. So her A1C was around like 13 or 14. Mm-hmm. We had, I think the luck of the draw, honestly, the doctor that was on call when my daughter was admitted is still her current doctor. And she's amazing. She set us up for success. We got the JDRF backpack and all of that stuff, which had an Omnipod in it. I don't think it had the Dexcom information in there, but we left the hospital on just pens and a glucometer. And then I notified my birth son's mother, that my daughter just got diagnosed. And the first thing she told me was get a Dexcom. So she was the one who informed me about the Dexcom. So we were on the Dexcom shortly after that, and we stayed on MDI for about a year, and then we switched to the Omnipod and used that up until 2 months ago when she finally switched to the Omnipod 5.
Wow. How are you finding that? Omnipod 5?
Good and bad.
Yeah.
No. So her school I don't know what happens to her when she goes to school, but it just cannot keep up with her. Like, we are just feeding it insulin and it just doesn't touch her when she's at school.
How long has she been using it?
The 5?
Yeah.
About 2 months.
Okay. Did you listen to the episodes about setting it up before you set it up?
I did.
Okay. And so you feel like you were pretty 50-50 basal bolus and pretty aggressive with total daily insulin. So
I did. I turned up everything. I turned up her insulin to carb ratio. I turned up everything, made everything more aggressive, and it just doesn't matter.
So is it, you think, does she have maybe a lot of adrenaline at school? School mean a lot to her?
Yeah, it's got to be what it is. And it's not the same thing every day. Like on the A days where she has obviously the same things, it's different than when she has B days. So it completely is affecting her by what she's having at school, what subjects is what I'm assuming.
Yeah. Okay.
But when we first started, it was over spring break and it was working perfect. So I really think it is just her school.
I was going to say, so she's home and there's no pressure from school. There's no adrenaline, anxiety, whatever comes from school. I don't know who she is. And like, maybe she's just trying real hard and like jacked up. So when she's at home, it works great. When she's getting that, it's not touching it because it doesn't see it as carbs and it has no way to get in front of it.
Yeah.
And you're correcting?
All the time. It's just funky how they have it set up. Like, she'll have soccer right after, not even an hour after she eats lunch on some days. And it's just sucky.
So does she find herself bolusing a lot? And what numbers are we at that we can't get away from? Like, what is it?
not crazy. I mean, just higher than I would like. Like if she's sitting at 150, I'm trying to get her to have it come down before she gets to lunch, because I know lunchtime I'm going to give her less than she needs because she has soccer right after, which she can't have so much in her system that it's going to make her go low, but has to be high enough that the stuff she does have in her system will keep her stable.
Yeah, so the higher blood sugar running into the meal, running into the activity is throwing your timing off for everything. So you're getting out of time with the insulin and your impacts.
Yeah.
But 150, see, you definitely listen to this podcast. You're like, this is terrible. It's 150.
I'm anal about it too. But I mean, it's gotten stuck higher. But it's normally, it's just if it's over my comfortability, then I'm bugging her to bolus.
Do you see it happen as soon as she gets to school? Because for Arden, like you drop her off at high school and her blood sugar started to go up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you try bolusing for it as she gets there?
It's not every day though. There's no pattern to it. And she doesn't have periods, like, or irregular periods, I would say. Mm-hmm. So we can't ever catch those. So I don't know if it's, her hormone time, because she's obviously still having the hormones. She is just so athletic with zero body fat that she's just not menstruating.
Yeah. So that's not a ton. Okay. Hey, you want to do something with me for a second?
I guess.
All right. Wait, don't worry.
If I have to.
Not weird or dirty or anything like that. I'm going to do something that you guys might not expect. I'm going to go to my own Facebook group and try to find help for Arden with her Dexcom problem.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's a meta situation right now. Arden is switching. Hold on. She's asking me a question too. Give me a second. Arden is switching her G7 and getting this message. Anyone know how to fix this? All right. I'm not lying about this Facebook group. It's pretty great.
I know.
Yeah. So are you in there?
I am. I'm a spectator.
That's perfect. Most people are, I think. I think that's the way to go.
You just grab the information you need.
And the next one did the same thing. Also, I think people probably think like, oh, they're a sponsor. He's not going to say anything bad. Like, first of all, I don't think this is bad. I think there's just something happening. I don't know what to do because it's so new.
Yeah.
But also, technology is not perfect. Like anybody, like I don't care what pump or glucose monitor or Dexcom, whatever. It's all just technology. Jenny and I were talking about that the other day, how interesting it is that like, if you think of all the technology in your life, none of it works the way you want it to. Like you buy things for your living room and your kitchen and your bedroom. And you're always like, oh my God, it doesn't exactly do blah, blah, blah. But when it's a medical thing, people are like, it should be perfect. I'm like, it's pretty great. You know what I mean? Perfect is going to be an issue. I don't know how you're going to do that. Sorry. So we'll see if anybody gets back to me.
It just sucks that it's her like first time changing it out. I hope it doesn't sway her.
It's like her third time changing it. I'm going to guess, literally, I don't know, but I'm going to guess that this is going to be some sort of a thing where she should have like put the other one away from her farther when she did it or something like that, that maybe it got confused between the two of them or. So,
or in the microwave.
I've heard people say that, right? Because there's a Faraday cage on a microwave. So again, and if she would have started it while we were here, I'd have a firmer understanding of it right now than I do at the moment. Although at least the graph she put up is very respectable because she took a screenshot and it's got like her last 3 hours on it. And then, and it says sensor failed. So Arden is switching to her G7 and getting this message. Anyone know how to fix this? She already removed one and the next one did the same thing. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. In real time, we'll see how impressive this Facebook group is.
Oh, yeah. You're going to get a response very soon.
I hope so. I don't know. It's become so popular. Like sometimes people don't even realize it's me anymore. People joke with me all the time that I'll say something and somebody will come in and be like, I don't know who Scott is or why we all care so much. I'm like, that's okay. Back when it was smaller, people knew who I was. But it's fascinating because, the group has two very important things. It has mass of people, so you can actually get an answer, and it's nice. People are nice, and that's a big deal because I've seen it go the other way.
Yeah,
I haven't had a folder.
Got a response already?
Yeah, but I'm trying to see. We hit OK and start a new sensor with a new sensor, or does she have the new sensor on and it's coming up? All right, I answered. I said the new one is on. Let me tell Arden too. I said, I'm looking into it. I'll get you an answer. For now, open your loop and test every hour. Does anybody want to guess if she'll test every hour?
No.
I'm going to guess no too. So, well, we'll stay on top of that as well. Yeah. We'll see. It's all going to be fine. Well, that's the other thing too, is that I think that there are plenty of people who would hear this and be like, oh my God, like it's, disaster. And it's not a disaster. It's what this stuff is. Like you have diabetes.
Yeah, it's how it goes.
Yeah, it's how it goes. Try re-entering the sensor number. That's not an answer. This site said, did it already pair with the new sensor code? Yes. And then this happens a few minutes later. It's like I have live chatbots to talk to.
I know.
And except
very impressive.
They understand what's happening. And I'm trying very hard to keep our conversation with you and I going at the same time, which I think I'm starting to fail at because now I'm texting Arden, talking to you, and messaging with two different people on a Facebook group.
It's all right. Men aren't supposed to multitask.
Hey, my wife says that all the time as I'm doing 4 things at once. She's like, you can't keep things in your head. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, hold on a second. Is there more coming? More feedback? Dun-dun-dun. No, not yet. Okay. Why are people not living on my schedule? So
I don't know. It's lunchtime.
Yeah.
Everybody should be available.
So my expectation for your daughter is that she's experiencing, like, is she like a good student? She wants to get good grades, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Does she have any like interpersonal problems at school?
No.
Then she's probably
not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. I guess she's probably just like, it's adrenaline and, stress and that kind of stuff.
She does take a hard caseload.
Okay. Yeah, so she's trying to, like, she probably feels the pressure of that, and then it impacts her blood sugar.
Yeah. Yeah, we only put the Omnipod 5 on because she's going to Europe for the summer, and I'm not going with her, and I want her to be able to be better managed while she's there, because my aunts that she's going with, the same two that took her to the doctor when she got diagnosed, know nothing about it.
Oh, great.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
So how do you think that's going to go?
I will get less sleep than I normally do because of the time change.
You think you're going to be managing basically from a distance? Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. My daughter's not self-sufficient in management.
How long is she going to be with them?
They're going to be in Europe for like 6-7 weeks.
Wow. Is there no way they could spend a couple hours or days with her before the trip locally?
I mean, they do. I mean, they're with us all the time.
Okay.
It's not that.
They're seeing it happen. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Like, did they follow her CGM now?
No. They used to when she was first diagnosed, and she would spend the night over there. I would hook them up to it. But they're older. Mm-hmm. So I'm just not trying to put too much on them. I'm just going to do it from afar.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was thinking, like, could they follow along and maybe for a couple of days you could text, like, she just ate this and we used this much insulin, so they could kind of see how it happens.
Oh, no, that's not going to work. It's all right.
Okay. Well, good. You think it's going to go well?
Yeah, I do.
Good.
I think the the time we had the 5 on before she went to school was really good. So I'm just hoping that returns.
Well, I'm going to guess that on vacation, right? She should have, like, because you say it doesn't happen at home. So I bet she has more of a that kind of experience on vacation than she does at home, unless something stressful happens on vacation. But I mean, vacation's vacation.
Yeah.
So the one thing I would ask is she going to go right from school to vacation, or will there be a little break before vacation?
She'll have about a week.
Good. Do you know why I'm asking that?
Yeah.
Because if you're being real aggressive at school and then go right to a more like
she's going to be low.
She could be low then, yeah. Especially with the activity and the walking around, and I'm guessing flying and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So you have enough supplies to send with her, and you got that all straight?
I do.
Will she have glucagon?
She will.
Excellent. Which one do you use?
Gvoke.
Oh, the HypoPen.
Yeah.
It's the best one. It's because
the simplest.
Because I do think it's the simplest. Yeah, that's why
yes.
That's exactly why I like it.
Yeah.
And I hear about the burning in the nose and stuff from the other things sometimes. And I mean, I guess in a real emergency situation, you would take some burning and you'd be like, whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but still.
I think it's about the ease for other people, because obviously other people are going to be using it. So I think that's the target, is you have to have them be able to use it. So an EpiPen-like function is so much more familiar to people than what it was previously, or a nasal spray.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we never carried them when they were the old like Lily red boxes. We didn't carry them with us anywhere. I was like,
yeah,
what am I going to do? You're hoping someone's going to, especially if you're by yourself, what are you hoping someone's going to find that on you and go, oh, it must be this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot of help.
It's not going to work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. So otherwise you think I should just ask the question. How is she with having diabetes? Like, was there a transition period that was tough, or has it been okay so far? Does she burn out?
A little bit of everything. I mean, when she was first diagnosed, she did really well. She gave herself her first shot in the hospital. And then, there are just moments where I think mentally there's some things going on, like, depression and stuff like that, where it all starts to build up and then she just blames diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for the most part, it's just, she doesn't remember life before it. So it's just become part of who she is now. And I think it's just becoming more regular for her.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds like depression, like bummed out, or actual like
no, yeah, like bummed out.
Yeah, like not like clinical depression. It all makes sense to me. Does she have any trouble with kids? Like people give her, does she get bullied or hear crap about diabetes?
No.
Or anything? Nothing like that.
No.
Cool. So because she's got this little great circle of friends that she has.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. Wow. Good for you.
No, she really does.
No, it's wonderful. It's a hell of a story, honestly, Kat. I'm impressed at the path your life took and where you're at right now. Do you ever stop and think, wow, I can't believe I'm here?
All the time.
Yeah. Because it just seemed like, did you always think you were on your way to like some poor ending?
Mm-hmm. I've always had this like weird feeling that my life would be short. Not to say that it still couldn't, quote unquote, but yeah, I've always had this like need to do things, because I've just felt like my time is short.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Is that a pressure that has disappeared, or do you still feel that a little bit?
I still feel it a little bit.
What do you think? Like, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. Where does that feeling come from, though? Does it just because of circumstances and you just consciously think, with drugs and alcohol and addiction and stuff, like there's no way I'm going to make it the whole way? It's that easy.
I mean, I think it stems from there, but it's just this feeling I've always had.
Okay.
I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, obviously the abuse that I put myself through, like at some point is going to catch up to me.
I got you.
It has to, right?
No, that sounds like you're doing okay. Doesn't it? I mean, you're in your 30s, right? So I think you're going to be fine. You just have to.
I hope so.
Yeah, you just got to keep that one girlfriend away from you. And keep that. And
She's actually recovering right now. She's been, I think, like a year sober from heroin.
wow.
So she's doing well.
Oh, good for her. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's a difficult road. That's impressive.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, how do you know that? Are you in touch?
No, like I don't, I do not keep in touch with her just because I know what happens when I do, but she will reach out to me and she just apologized. Like she's probably in her, what is that phase in addiction? It's
Amends?
not coming. There you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she's making amends and she had sent me a message and just explained everything to me then. And I just told her that I was proud of her and congratulations. And
get the hell away from me.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you don't want to push her in the wrong direction. So you very politely get back to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's tough. I know it's tough. And it's a little hard for me in my circumstance right now with my mom because I did it. Like I did it and I went to rehab, yes, but it did nothing for me. It actually made me worse. And something clicked and I got better. And I don't understand why she can't. So my empathy for that is not there. And that's why I think I need counseling.
Well, I would think as well, you need to work through things because it's going to stick in your head that it took so long for your mom's life to fall apart that you're going to, I wouldn't want you to think, oh, I'm just 20 years away from what's happening to my mom right now.
Yeah. And she was the only stable parent we had.
Right.
So it's like really rocking mine and my brother's world right now.
Yeah, no, I would imagine. I mean, the one thing you thought you had, you were like, this is my stable point. And she's in rehab now too. What drugs for your mom?
Just alcohol, but she's more mental right now than the alcohol.
Is she detoxing? Is that where some of this is coming from?
No, she already detoxed and ended up in the hospital because she got sick from detoxing. So now after she's detoxed, she hasn't, to our knowledge, relapsed. So now it's just working on the mental side that caused her to increase her consumption.
I see. Wow. That's something. All right. Kat, is there anything we haven't talked about that we should have?
Yeah. I'm kind of disappointed in you.
Why? What'd I miss?
You didn't ask about my family and if they have any autoimmune diseases.
Well, in 4 minutes, Kat, you were pregnant as a teenager. You threw me off. Okay. Are there any other autoimmune issues in your family?
Well, yes, there are. No, but I did want to bring up, well, my daughter does have eczema and she is lactose intolerant. She's got exercise-induced bronchoconstriction. So it's like asthma, but only with exercise. But she also has a TMJ thing, which was explained to me as autoimmune, which caused her to have this massive jaw reconstruction surgery at the same time that her TMJs were getting fixed. So that was interesting to me. And the only way that I came about that was from, you had somebody else on your podcast that had that exact same surgery. And it made me ask my daughter's doctor about it, which in turn sent us to her having this massive surgery. That's
my fault, you're saying? I'm sorry. Or no, is that a good thing?
It was like a thank you kind of.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then you're very welcome.
That was crazy. And then just recently she has proteinuria, and that was within the past week or so. Her
kidneys numbers coming back different?
Yeah, she just has protein in her urine. So they put her on lisinopril, which is for blood pressure, which kind of confused me. But it's also something that my birth son had when he was first diagnosed. And the endocrinologist said that she does see this in teens a lot, where it's not ongoing. It does dissipate and they don't really know why, but it's happening.
I have this on the internet. Although TMJ is not an autoimmune disease, its symptoms can be the result of one. Well, that's weird. Hold on a second. Can't just say that. but it just makes you making me want to click.
I think the way that he explained it to me was something in vitro, like when the child is developing. For some reason, people who have autoimmune diseases, this ligament does not form correctly. It's stretchy. It ends up being stretchy or too tight or what have you. Like it has something to do with the development, not so much an autoimmune disease.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was kind of explained to me.
Yeah, like it's talking here about how it can be like secondarily a systematic impact. How about that?
Yeah. And then also migraine. She also has migraines, and they're just now finding out that that's probably linked as autoimmune.
How old is she?
She's 15.
Well, is she doing okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah. She was having some symptoms the other day, and I hadn't yet told her about the kidney thing because she had finals and I just didn't want it to be like another thing that she had to deal with. But she was having some symptoms, and I told her, that it could be from this. And I explained to her, and she's like, oh, great. Like I'm lactose, my pancreas isn't working properly, and now my kidneys are failing.
Yeah.
But she laughed about it. And that same day, I happened to tell her about her half brother that she didn't know about, because it was his birthday, and he reached out to me, and it just kind of came full circle. It was like, she's old enough to understand, how it happened. Mm-hmm. And I've just always felt this guilt of like, when I'm going to tell her how they're going to feel. And
how did she take that?
Amazing. She cried, but she cried because she was so happy that I trusted her in telling her about my life.
Yeah. Well, that's a big thing to tell a kid.
Yeah.
Hey, have you had her thyroid checked?
Yes.
Do you know what her TSH is?
It's in range. And I mean, in range.
Like under 2.
Your definition. Yeah. Okay. It's below 1.
Oh, good.
It's like 0 point something.
Yeah. I was reading a little bit about migraines and autoimmune, and like obviously psoriasis type 1, Hashimoto's, Graves, rheumatoid arthritis. Like, let's see, in all cases, the root of the problem is with the immune system, but because different antibodies are formed in each disease, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's interesting. I didn't realize that about the migraines.
Yeah.
But it's more about...
I just found that out.
Yeah, this makes it sound like it's about the comorbidities of autoimmune issues. But your daughter... I mean, the thing with the kidney testing, like that can go up and down. Like they're going to keep after that and check it, right? Like maybe she just got tested after like some high blood sugars, or like, do they really think that she's having a problem that's going to be with her?
No, they don't think it's going to stick with her. Yeah. They put her on the low dose. Like she explained to me that the sugar, was the sugar molecules were being released into her kidney, and they poked holes in her kidney, kind of like like how you explain it. It's like, what is it? How do you explain it?
It's sort of just like it's the sugar molecules are too big now, and it's breaking through the tissue and creating bigger holes, and they think it'll heal up.
They do that. So the medication is supposed to reduce the amount of pressure in her kidneys so that it stops releasing the protein.
And then, but her blood sugars are where? They're good, right? What's her A1Cs?
Yeah. So her A1C, we just had it done. She was 6.6. Okay. And I was expecting it to be worse only because of school thing. Mm-hmm. But like in the summer, it's normally around in like 5.5.
Okay. I gotcha. Well, I mean, you don't need me to tell you, but obviously more stability, lower numbers, Yeah. You're going to have better luck with those other things. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gee, did I let you down in any other ways, Kat, or is that it?
Well.
I don't need you yelling at me in my kitchen. You know what I mean?
The only other thing I will say is that we had some issues with her insurance, and it took me months to get it figured out. But the way that the insurance wasn't aware that the way that they structured their plans, as far as the pharmacy benefits affected insulin pumps. And so it took me a long time, but it brought to their attention that they had an issue. And so they restructured their whole plan to incorporate the pharmacy benefits for insulin pumps and CGM so that it doesn't affect anybody else.
No kidding.
So that was really cool. Although it took freaking forever to do.
Oh, look at you out there helping other people too.
I do what I can.
That's fantastic. Look at you. Wow. All right, Kat, you were terrific. I really appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is wonderful. If you hold on a minute, I can tell you a couple of things you'll need to know and ask you, of course, if you're comfortable with everything that we talked about and all that stuff. So hold on for me.
Sounds good.
A huge thanks to US Med for sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Don't forget, usmed.com/juicebox. This is where we get our diabetes supplies from. You can as well. Use the link or call 888-721-1514. Use the link or call the number, get your free benefits check so that you can start getting your diabetes supplies the way we do from US Med. I'd like to thank Cozy Earth for sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast and remind you that using my offer code JUICEBOX at checkout will save you 40% off of your entire order at CozyEarth.com. That's the sheets, the towels, the clothing, anything available on the website. If you're not already subscribed or following in your favorite audio app, please take the time now to do that. It really helps the show. And get those automatic downloads set up so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording. WrongWayRecording.com.